You're not welcome here." Those 4 words hit me harder than any slap ever could. I stood there on my daughter's front porch, holding a homemade pumpkin pie that was still warm from my oven, wrapped carefully in aluminum foil with a little card that read, "Made with love for Emily." The autumn air was crisp, carrying the scent of wood smoke from someone's fireplace down the street. Fallen leaves scattered across the perfectly manicured lawn. Everything about this moment should have been warm, should have been family, should have been love. But instead, I was staring at my daughter's face through a barely cracked door. The same face I'd kissed goodnight for 18 years. The same face I'd watched scrunch up in concentration over homework at the kitchen table. The same face that had beamed at me from the stage at her high school graduation. The same face I'd watched walk down the aisle just 8 months ago in a dress that cost more than my first car. But in that moment, with those cold eyes looking at me like I was a stranger selling vacuum cleaners, I didn't recognize her at all. My name is Sharon Mitchell. I'm 64 years old, and I live in a small 3-bedroom house in Beaverton, Oregon, a suburb of Portland. I'm a retired elementary school teacher. I have gray hair that I keep short, because long hair at my age feels like I'm trying too hard. I drive a 2015 Honda Civic with 140,000 miles on it. I clip coupons from the Sunday paper. I buy my clothes at Macy's when they're having a sale. I'm ordinary in every possible way, except for one thing. I'm a mother. And mothers have this terrible, wonderful curse of loving their children no matter what, even when those children break their hearts. I'm about to tell you about the Thanksgiving that changed everything, about the moment I realized I'd lost my daughter, long before I stood on that porch, about what happened in the minutes after she told me I wasn't welcome, and about how, sometimes, the worst moments of our lives can become the catalyst for the most important changes. But before I go any further, let me ask you something. Have you ever been excluded by your own family? Have you ever felt invisible to the people who are supposed to love you most? Have you ever given everything you had to someone, only to have them treat you like you were nothing? If you have, or if you're curious about how this story ends, I'd really appreciate it if you'd subscribe to this channel. It means more than you know, and trust me, you're going to want to see where this goes, because what happened next, nobody saw coming. Not me, not my daughter, not anyone. Now, let me take you back to the beginning, because what happened on that porch didn't start that Thanksgiving Day. It started much earlier. It started the day my daughter met Brandon Whitmore. Let me tell you about the Emily I raised. The real Emily, the one who existed before designer handbags and Pearl District addresses, and people who, summer, in the Hamptons. Emily came into this world on a rainy March morning 30 years ago, 3 weeks early, and in a hurry, which pretty much set the tone for her entire childhood. She was my miracle baby. Tom and I had tried for years to get pregnant, went through fertility treatments we couldn't afford, took out loans, maxed out credit cards. Every negative test felt like a door slamming shut on our dreams. And then, when we'd finally given up and were looking into adoption, I missed a period, took a test, saw those 2 pink lines, cried so hard I scared Tom half to death when he came home from work. Emily was perfect. 10 fingers, 10 toes, a head full of dark hair, and lungs that could wake the neighbors 3 houses down. Tom used to joke that she came out yelling because she had opinions to share and wasn't going to wait. He was right. Emily had opinions about everything. What she'd eat, what she'd wear, which books we'd read at bedtime. She was fierce and funny and so smart. Taught herself to read at 4 years old because she was tired of waiting for me to get to the good parts of stories. Built elaborate cities out of blocks and ruled them like a tiny benevolent dictator. Made friends with every kid on the playground, even the shy ones nobody else talked to. She was special. Not just to me because I was her mother, but genuinely special. Teachers told me so. Other parents told me so. She was the kind of kid who noticed when someone was sitting alone at lunch and went over to sit with them. The kind who shared her snacks even when she was still hungry. The kind who cried when we drove past homeless people and asked why we couldn't bring them all home. The world's too big, baby, I'd tell her. We can't save everyone. But we could try, she'd say. That was Emily. Always trying, always caring, always more heart than sense. When she was 7, Tom died. Heart attack. Sudden. Brutal. One minute he was mowing the lawn on a Saturday morning. The next he was on the ground, and I was screaming for someone to call 911. Emily watched from the window. Saw her daddy fall. Saw the ambulance come. Saw me follow it to the hospital, in our car. A neighbor staying with her because I couldn't think straight enough to arrange anything else. Tom was gone before I got to the hospital. Just gone. 42 years old. Gone. I had to drive back home and tell my 7-year-old daughter that Daddy wasn't coming back. I had to watch her little face crumple. Had to hold her while she sobbed. Had to answer questions I didn't have answers to. Where did he go? Heaven, baby. Can we visit him? No, sweetheart. We can't. When will he come back? He's not coming back. But I didn't say goodbye. I know. Me neither. That night, Emily crawled into my bed and said, "It's just us now, Mommy." Yes, baby. Just us. That's okay. We're strong. We can do it. She was 7 years old and trying to comfort me. The years after Tom died were hard. I was a teacher, which meant steady employment but not much money. We lived on my salary and Tom's small life insurance policy. We shopped at thrift stores. We ate a lot of pasta and casseroles. Birthdays were homemade cakes, not parties at entertainment venues. Vacations were camping trips, not Disney World. But we were happy. We had each other. We had our little house with the creaky floors and the leaky bathroom faucet I never got around to fixing. We had our traditions. Friday movie nights with popcorn, Sunday morning pancakes, weekly trips to the library where Emily would check out the maximum number of books allowed and read them all within 3 days. We had love. So much love. Emily never complained about what we didn't have. She wore hand-me-downs from my friends' daughters and said they were vintage. She packed her own lunches and made them look fancy, with little notes she'd write to herself. She babysat and mowed lawns to save money for college because she knew I didn't have much to give her. She was grateful. She was kind. She was good. And then she went to college, Portland State University. She got a partial scholarship and worked 2 part-time jobs to cover the rest. Lived in the dorms her first year. Then in a cramped apartment with 3 roommates after that. Studied business and marketing. Made the dean's list every semester. Joined clubs. Volunteered. Networked like her life depended on it. She was hungry. Hungry for success. Hungry for security. Hungry for a life that didn't involve checking price tags before putting items in the cart. I understood that hunger. I'd felt it myself after Tom died. That desperation to never feel financially vulnerable again. That need to build something solid and safe. But I didn't realize how much that hunger would change her. After college, Emily got a job at a marketing firm downtown. Entry level, but with room to grow. She worked 70-hour weeks, stayed late, came in on weekends, climbed that ladder like she was running from something. We still had our phone calls, every Sunday at 10 a.m. We'd talk for an hour, sometimes more. She'd tell me about her work, her friends, her tiny apartment in Northwest Portland that cost more per month than my mortgage. I'd tell her about my students, my garden, the book club I'd joined. "I miss you, Mom," she'd say. "I miss you too, baby. But I'm so proud of you. Come visit me soon." "I will." And I did. I'd take the Max train downtown once a month, and we'd have lunch at some cute cafe she'd discovered. She always paid. I always protested. She always won. "You raised me on a teacher's salary, Mom. Let me buy you a sandwich." Those were good years. Different from when she was young, but still good. Still close. And then she met Brandon Whitmore at a corporate networking event. Emily called me on a Tuesday night, which was unusual. Our calls were Sunday mornings. Tuesday meant something was up. "Mom, I met someone." My heart did that thing mothers' hearts do. That flutter of excitement mixed with anxiety. Because your daughter meeting someone means your daughter potentially leaving you. Not physically, but emotionally. Making space for someone new. "Tell me about him," I said, settling into Tom's old recliner, the one I still couldn't bring myself to replace. "His name is Brandon Whitmore. He works in finance. commercial real estate investments. He's 31, smart, funny, and Mom, he's really interested in me. Like, really interested. We've been out 3 times and he's already talking about taking me to meet his family. That's fast. I know. It's crazy, right? But it feels right. He's different from guys I've dated before. He's got his life together. He knows what he wants. He's stable. Stable. That word again. I'm happy for you, sweetheart. His family is kind of a big deal. His dad owns Whitmore Auto Group. You know those car dealerships all over Oregon and Washington? They're really wealthy, Mom. Like, really wealthy. There was something in her voice, not just excitement. Something else. Something that sounded like she was trying to convince herself of something. Wealth doesn't make someone a good person, I said gently. I know that, but it doesn't make them bad either. And Brandon is good. He's really good. You're going to love him. I'm sure I will. 6 weeks later, she brought him to my house for dinner. I spent the whole day cooking. Made a pot roast with vegetables, homemade rolls, a salad with my garden tomatoes, and my famous apple pie. I cleaned the house top to bottom, put fresh flowers from my garden in a vase on the dining table, set out the good dishes, the ones Tom's mother had given us as a wedding present. I wanted to make a good impression, for Emily's sake. They arrived at 6. Brandon was tall, probably 6'2", with sandy brown hair and the kind of smile that showed very white, very straight teeth. He wore khakis and a button-down shirt that probably cost more than my entire outfit. He carried a bottle of wine that he handed to me with both hands, like it was precious. Mrs. Mitchell, it's so wonderful to meet you. Emily talks about you constantly. Please call me Sharon. Come in, come in. Emily looked nervous. She was wearing a dress I'd never seen before. Navy blue with a belt that emphasized her waist. Her hair was professionally styled. She had on makeup that made her look older, more sophisticated. She looked beautiful. She also looked like she was trying very hard to be someone. Dinner was nice. Brandon had good manners. He complimented the food repeatedly. He asked me questions about my teaching career. He laughed at my stories. He held Emily's hand under the table. He was charming, almost too charming. Like he'd practiced. But maybe I was being paranoid. Maybe I was just being a mother who didn't want to share her daughter. After dinner, we sat in the living room with coffee and pie. Brandon looked around at my modest home, at the worn furniture and the family photos on the walls, and the bookshelf Tom had built that was slightly crooked because his measuring had been off. You have a lovely home, he said. Thank you. It's nothing fancy, but it's ours. Mine, I mean. It's mine. Emily told me about your husband. I'm so sorry for your loss. Thank you. It was a long time ago. Must have been hard, raising Emily on your own. We managed. We had each other. He nodded, sipped his coffee. Emily's told me a lot about her childhood. Sounds like you did an amazing job with limited resources. Limited resources. The words weren't cruel. They were probably meant to be complimentary. But something about them made my spine stiffen. We had what we needed, I said. Of course. I just meant that it must have been challenging. My mother always says the best families aren't necessarily the wealthiest ones. It's about love and values. Your mother sounds wise. She is. You'll meet her soon. She's already planning a dinner party to welcome Emily into the family. She does that whenever one of us gets serious with someone. Kind of a Whitmore tradition. That's nice. Emily was watching me. I could feel her eyes, gauging my reaction, hoping I'd like him, hoping I'd approve. I smiled at her. She smiled back, relieved. After they left, I stood at my kitchen sink washing dishes and feeling unsettled. Brandon seemed nice, polite, interested in Emily. All the things a mother hopes for. So why did I feel like I'd just met someone who was evaluating my daughter like a business investment? Brandon proposed 4 months later. Emily called me crying. Happy tears, she said. He'd proposed at a restaurant overlooking the Willamette River. Got down on one knee right there in front of everyone. The ring was a 2-carat diamond in a platinum setting. It caught the light like a tiny disco ball. Mom, I'm getting married. Oh, sweetheart, congratulations. Are you happy? Of course I'm happy. If you're happy, I'm happy. I am. I really am. He's everything I've ever wanted. Everything she'd ever wanted. I tried not to notice that she didn't say he was everything she'd ever needed. The wedding planning started immediately, and that's when things began to change. Catherine Whitmore, Brandon's mother, took over. Not aggressively, not meanly, just completely. She knew the best wedding planners. She knew the best florists. She knew the best venues, the best caterers, the best photographers, and she insisted on paying for most of it because, as she told Emily, "The Whitmores have a reputation to uphold, darling. We want this to be spectacular." Emily was swept up in it. Who wouldn't be? One day you're a girl who grew up shopping at Target. The next you're tasting cakes that cost $15 a slice and looking at wedding venues that cost more to rent for one day than your childhood home cost to buy. I tried to be involved. I really did. "Have you thought about flowers?" I asked during one of our Sunday calls. "Catherine knows this amazing florist. They're doing the arrangements. What about the cake?" Catherine set up tastings at 3 different bakeries. The invitations? Catherine has a calligrapher she uses for all family events. Catherine. What about something from our side? I finally asked. Some tradition from our family? Like what? I don't know. Maybe you could wear Grandma's pearls? The ones I've been saving for you. Silence on the other end. Mom. Brandon's mom already gave me a diamond necklace that's been in their family for generations. It's kind of expected that I'll wear it. Of course. I just thought, maybe I could wear the pearls at the rehearsal dinner. Sure, that would be nice. I never saw her wear them at the rehearsal dinner. Later, she told me she'd forgotten them at home. The wedding was in June. It was, as Catherine had promised, spectacular. St. Michael's Cathedral was decorated with thousands of white roses. The bridesmaids wore silk dresses that cost $400 each. The groomsmen had custom-fitted tuxedos. The reception at the Columbia River Gorge had a live band, a raw bar, a dessert table with 20 different options, and an open bar with a signature cocktail named after the couple. 200 guests attended. I knew maybe 15 of them. I wore a dress I'd bought at Nordstrom Rack for $89. It was perfectly nice. But standing next to Catherine in her designer gown that probably cost more than I made in a month, I felt small. The ceremony was beautiful. Emily looked like a princess. Brandon cried when he saw her coming down the aisle. I cried too, but my tears were complicated. Happy for her. Sad for me. Worried about what was coming. At the reception, I was seated at table 12. Not at the head table. Not at table 1 with parents. Table 12, in the back, near the kitchen doors where servers rushed in and out with trays of food. I sat with Tom's cousin Linda, who I saw maybe once every 5 years. I sat with Brandon's co-workers who talked about interest rates and property values all through dinner. I sat at table 12 and watched my daughter's wedding from a distance. Catherine gave a toast. She stood at the head table in her elegant gown, champagne glass raised, and talked about how she'd known the moment Brandon brought Emily home that she was exactly the kind of woman the Whitmore family needed. She talked about their future, their success, their place in Portland society, their beautiful home that Catherine had helped them buy in the Pearl District. She never mentioned me. When the toasts were finished and I realized no one was going to call on me, I half stood from my seat at table 12. The MC glanced my way, then looked at his list, then moved on to introducing the best man. I sat back down. Emily had seen me start to stand. Our eyes met across the crowded reception hall. For just a second, I saw something in her face. Guilt, maybe. Or regret. Or just awkwardness. Then she looked away and laughed at something Catherine was saying. I ate my chicken, drank my wine, smiled when people looked my way. And late that night, after the couple had left in a shower of rose petals to start their honeymoon in Italy, I drove home to my empty house and sat in my dark living room and cried. Not because I wasn't happy for Emily. I was. She'd married someone successful and stable. She'd have the kind of life I could never give her. Security, comfort, all the things she'd grown up without. I cried because I knew I'd lost her. Not to Brandon exactly, to the life he represented, to the Whitmores and their money and their connections, to a world where teachers from Beaverton who shop at Target don't quite fit. I'd lost my daughter to a better life, and I was supposed to be grateful. The newlyweds came back from Italy tanned and glowing and full of stories about Tuscany and the Amalfi Coast. They'd stayed in villas and eaten at Michelin-starred restaurants and taken a private boat tour of Capri. Catherine had paid for half of it as a wedding gift. "It was incredible, Mom," Emily gushed during our first Sunday call after they returned. "I wish you could have seen it." "Maybe someday," I said, even though we both knew I'd never be able to afford a trip like that. "How have you been?" "Good. Quiet? I've been working in the garden a lot. The tomatoes are coming in beautifully." "That's great. Listen, I should go. Brandon and I are supposed to go look at dining room tables with Catherine. She knows this great furniture place." "Of course. Talk to you next Sunday?" "Yep. Love you." "Love you too, sweetheart." That was the pattern. Our calls got shorter, always interrupted by plans with Catherine, always cut off because they had somewhere to be, someone to see, something more important than talking to me. I told myself it was normal. She was a newlywed. She was busy. She had a new life. But the pattern continued and worsened. They moved into their Pearl District home in August, a beautiful craftsman with original hardwood floors and built-in bookshelves and a kitchen that looked like something from HGTV. Catherine's decorator had helped them furnish it. Everything matched. Everything was perfect. Everything cost a fortune. I offered to help them move in. "Oh, we hired movers, Mom. Professional ones. They're packing and unpacking everything. But thanks. Maybe I could come see the place once you're settled. Bring a housewarming gift." "Sure, yeah. Once things calm down." Things never calmed down. September came. I called every Sunday. Sometimes Emily answered, sometimes she didn't. When she did answer, the conversations were brief and distracted. "How's the new house?" "Great. Still getting settled." "I'd love to see it." "I know. We'll set something up soon." Soon never came. In October, I drove by their house, just to see it, just to feel connected to my daughter's life in some small way. I parked across the street and looked at the beautiful home with its porch swing and its window boxes filled with fall flowers. I saw Emily through the front window. She was laughing, gesturing with her hands, talking to someone I couldn't see. She looked happy. She looked at home. She looked like she didn't need me anymore. I drove away before she could see me. Our Sunday calls became Sunday texts. "Hi, honey. How are you?" "Good. Busy week. Want to talk?" "Can't right now. At brunch with Catherine and Brandon's sister." "Okay. Maybe later?" "Sure." Later never happened. By November, I was lucky if I heard from her once every 2 weeks. And when I did, it was always brief, always distracted, always about how busy they were with work and social obligations and the Whitmore family events that seemed to happen constantly. I stopped initiating contact, just to see if she'd notice, just to see if she'd reach out on her own. 2 weeks went by, then 3, then a month. She didn't notice. I tried a different approach. I made her favorite soup, the chicken and rice soup she'd loved since she was 6. I packed it in a container, drove to her house, and rang the doorbell. Brandon answered. He opened the door about 6 inches with the security chain still attached. "Sharon, hi." "Hi, Brandon. I brought some soup for Emily. Is she home?" "She's working from home today. Kind of in the middle of something. I'll just pop in and say hello." "Actually, she's on a conference call. It's really not a good time." I stood there with my soup, feeling foolish. "Could you just give this to her then?" He looked at the container like I was handing him something that might explode. "Sure. Yeah." He took it through the gap in the door. "Tell her to call me?" "Will do." The door closed. I walked back to my car and sat there for a few minutes, watching the house. 5 minutes later, I saw Brandon walk past a window carrying my container to the kitchen. 10 minutes after that, I saw Emily walk past the same window, coffee mug in hand, phone to her ear, laughing. There was no conference call. She just didn't want to see me. I drove home and waited for her to call and thank me for the soup. She never called. Thanksgiving had been our holiday for as long as Emily had been alive. 25 years of tradition. 25 years of me hosting, cooking, welcoming whoever needed a place to be. After Tom died, when it was just the two of us, we kept the tradition going. Made a full spread even though there were only two of us, because you don't scale back on tradition just because your table got smaller. We'd eat turkey and stuffing and pie, and we'd watch the parade, and we'd make a list of things we were grateful for. Every year, Emily would write Mom at the top of her list. Every year, I'd cry a little. This year, I assumed she and Brandon would come. Maybe they'd even bring the Whitmores. I'd prepared myself for that, prepared to welcome Catherine into my home and make her feel included even though she'd spent the last 6 months making me feel excluded. Because that's what you do. You take the high road. You set the example. You show love even when you're not receiving it. 3 weeks before Thanksgiving, I called Emily. She didn't answer. I left a voicemail. "Hi, sweetheart. Just wanted to confirm plans for Thanksgiving. I was thinking we'd eat around 2 o'clock, but I'm flexible if that doesn't work for you. Let me know if you want to bring anything, though you know you don't have to. Oh, and if the Whitmores don't have plans, they're absolutely welcome too. Love you." 3 days passed. No response. I texted. "Did you get my voicemail about Thanksgiving?" 6 hours later. "Yes, sorry, been swamped. We'll let you know." We'll let you know. About Thanksgiving. About whether she was coming to a tradition we'd had for her entire life. Another week passed. I texted again. "Hi, honey. I need to know how many people to plan for. Are you and Brandon coming for Thanksgiving?" This time the response came faster. "Actually, we're doing Thanksgiving at our place this year. Hosting Brandon's family. It's kind of a Whitmore tradition." I stared at that text for a long time. "We're doing Thanksgiving at our place. Brandon's family. A Whitmore tradition. As if we didn't have our own tradition. As if 25 years of Thanksgivings at my house meant nothing. As if I could just be replaced by Catherine Whitmore's idea of what a holiday should look like." My hands were shaking when I typed back. "That sounds nice. What time should I come?" The 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. I watched them for what felt like hours, finally. "It's actually going to be pretty small. Just immediate family. Brandon's parents and his sister. Don't want it to get too crowded. Just immediate family." I read those 3 words over and over until they stopped looking like words and started looking like weapons. Just immediate family. I was her mother. I was the person who'd given birth to her, who'd raised her alone after Tom died, who'd worked 2 jobs some summers to make sure she could go to summer camp, who'd eaten ramen so she could have new shoes for school, who'd given her everything I had. And I wasn't immediate family. "I'm your mother," I typed back. The dots appeared and disappeared several times. My phone rang. It was Emily. "Hey, Mom," she said. Her voice was tight, careful. "I can't really text about this. I'm at work. You're having Thanksgiving without me?" "It's not without you, it's just... This year we're doing it at our house with Brandon's family. They always do this big formal thing, and Catherine has been planning it for weeks. So plan for 1 more person. I'll bring pie." "Mom, it's not that simple. Everything's already planned. The seating chart, the menu, all of it. Emily, it's Thanksgiving. It's not the United Nations. For the Whitmores, it kind of is. There's a specific way they do things. Place cards, formal table settings, a schedule. Catherine has it all mapped out. And there's no room for your mother?" Silence. "That's not what I'm saying." "Then what are you saying?" "I'm saying that this year, Brandon and I are starting our own traditions with his family, and maybe next year we can do something different. Alternate or something. So I'm supposed to spend Thanksgiving alone? Mom, don't be dramatic. You have friends. Linda invited you to her place last year and you said no. I said no because I was hosting you. Well, this year I'm hosting. And I'm not invited." Another long silence. I could hear office sounds in the background. Phones ringing, people talking. My daughter was having this conversation while sitting at her desk, trying to keep her voice down so her co-workers wouldn't hear. "It's complicated," she finally said. "It's actually very simple, Emily. You don't want me there. That's not fair, isn't it? When's the last time you came to visit me? When's the last time you called me without me calling first? When's the last time you acted like I'm more to you than an obligation you're trying to avoid? I'm not doing this right now. I have a meeting in 5 minutes. Of course you do, Mom. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving with your new family, Emily. I hope it's everything the Whitmores expect it to be. I hung up, and then I sat on my couch in the house where I'd raised her alone, in the house where we'd had 25 Thanksgivings together, and I cried until my throat hurt, and my eyes were so swollen I couldn't see straight. But mothers don't give up. We don't know how. We convince ourselves that our children don't mean the hurtful things they say. We make excuses. We try again. We hold on even when we're being pushed away. So the night before Thanksgiving, I baked Emily's favorite pumpkin pie from scratch, the recipe my mother had taught me. Graham cracker crust, a little bit of maple syrup in the filling that makes it taste like autumn itself. I baked it with love and hope and stubborn maternal denial. I wrapped it carefully in foil, put it in a carrier, attached a little card that said, "Made with love for Emily." And on Thanksgiving Day, at 1:45 in the afternoon, I got in my Honda Civic and drove to the Pearl District. The Pearl District was bustling that afternoon, sunny and crisp, one of those perfect November days where the air smells like wood smoke and fallen leaves. People were out walking dogs, jogging, heading to coffee shops, life happening all around me, while mine felt like it was falling apart. Emily's street was lined with beautiful craftsman homes, each one more stunning than the last, perfectly maintained, professionally landscaped, the kind of neighborhood where HOA fees probably cost more per month than some people's rent. I parked across the street from her house and sat there for a minute, hands on the steering wheel, pie carrier on the passenger seat, gathering my courage. Through the large front window, I could see people inside. Movement, figures holding wine glasses. I recognized Catherine's distinctive laugh even from across the street. Loud and confident, the kind of laugh that takes up space. They were already there, already started, already gathered around my daughter in a tableau of family togetherness that didn't include me. I picked up the pie carrier and got out of the car. My hands were shaking. My heart was pounding. Every instinct I had was screaming at me to turn around, go home, preserve what was left of my dignity. But I'm a mother, and mothers don't listen to instincts that tell them to give up on their children. As I walked up the stone pathway, I could see more clearly through the window. Brandon in gray slacks and a burgundy sweater that probably came from some expensive store downtown. Catherine in a dress that looked like it belonged on a runway, not in someone's living room. A tall, distinguished man with gray hair who must have been Brandon's father. A younger woman, blonde and elegant, probably Brandon's sister. And Emily, my Emily, wearing a beautiful burgundy dress I'd never seen. Her dark hair swept up in some kind of elegant twist, pearls at her ears. Not my mother's pearls, different ones, probably from Catherine. She was laughing at something Brandon's father had said, wine glass in hand, looking perfectly at ease in this world of expensive furnishings and designer clothes, and people who summered in the Hamptons. She looked happy. She looked like she belonged. And I looked down at my cotton dress from Macy's clearance rack, my sensible shoes from Target, my homemade pie in a plastic carrier, and for just a moment, I understood why she hadn't invited me. I didn't fit. I was a reminder of a life she was trying to leave behind. A life of coupons and second-hand stores and making do. In this beautiful craftsman house with its perfect people having their perfect Thanksgiving, I was the wrong note in an otherwise harmonious song. I almost turned around, almost walked back to my car and drove home and never mentioned this moment to anyone. Almost. But then I remembered. I remembered every night I'd stayed up late sewing Emily's Halloween costumes because bought ones were too expensive. I remembered every parent-teacher conference where teachers praised what a wonderful, kind, smart girl I was raising. I remembered every time she'd said, "I love you, Mom," like she meant it. I remembered the funeral, standing beside Tom's grave with 7-year-old Emily holding my hand, her small voice saying, "We're strong. We can do it." I remembered that I'd earned the right to be at my daughter's table, no matter what the Whitmores thought, no matter what Emily had convinced herself of. I had earned it through years of sacrifice and love and showing up even when things were hard. So I walked up those porch steps and rang the doorbell. The laughter inside stopped. I watched Emily's head turn toward the door, watched her eyes widen, watched her say something to Brandon, watched him shake his head, clearly saying she shouldn't answer it. But she did. She walked to the door and opened it about 8 inches. Mom. Not surprised exactly. More like resigned. Like she'd been half expecting this and dreading it. "What are you doing here?" "I brought you pie," I said, holding up the carrier. My voice was steadier than I felt. "Your favorite. Pumpkin with maple syrup in the filling. The way Grandma taught me to make it." I thought, "Mom, I told you we were doing a private family thing today. I know. I'm not trying to crash your dinner. I just wanted to drop this off. You don't have to eat it today. You can save it for tomorrow or freeze it or whatever. I just wanted you to have it. Wanted you to know I was thinking of you. This really isn't a good time." Behind her, Catherine's voice. "Emily? Darling, who is it? We're about to sit down for dinner." Emily glanced over her shoulder. "It's fine. Just someone at the door. I'll be right there." Someone at the door. Not my mother. Not Mom stopped by. Someone. Like I was a delivery person. A solicitor. Someone she'd never met before. "Emily," I said quietly. "Please, can I just come in for a minute? Just to say hello to everyone? I won't stay, I promise. Just 5 minutes." She looked at me. Really looked at me. And I saw something flicker across her face. Guilt, maybe. Or embarrassment. Or maybe just the cold calculation that letting me in would be more trouble than it was worth. "You're not welcome here." The words came out flat, emotionless, like she was reading from a script she'd rehearsed. "You're not welcome here." I stood there holding that pie I'd made with my own hands, using my mother's recipe, poured with love and hope, and something inside me broke. Not loudly, not dramatically, just a quiet crack, like ice breaking on a winter pond. "I'm your mother," I whispered. "I know who you are, and I'm asking you to respect that today is for Brandon's family. This is important to him, important to his career, his family relationships, his future. I can't just randomly add people. I'm not people, Emily. I'm your mother. I'm the person who raised you, who loved you, who gave you everything I had." Her jaw tightened. "And I appreciate that. I do. But right now, I need you to go." "Emily." "Please, Mom. You're making this harder than it needs to be. I told you we were doing something small and private. I told you it was just immediate family. You should have respected that. Immediate family. You keep saying that. Like I'm not immediate. Like I'm some distant relative you see once a year at weddings. That's not what I mean." "Then what do you mean? Explain it to me. Explain how the woman who gave birth to you, who raised you alone after your father died, who sacrificed everything to give you a good life, isn't immediate enough family to sit at your Thanksgiving table." She glanced over her shoulder again. I could see the Whitmores in the background now. They were watching. Catherine, with her wine glass paused halfway to her mouth. Brandon with his hand on the back of a dining room chair. His father standing by the fireplace. All of them watching this scene play out like it was dinner theater. Emily stepped out onto the porch and pulled the door mostly closed behind her. She lowered her voice to barely above a whisper. "Look, the Whitmores are very particular about their holidays. There are traditions, expectations, a certain way things are done. Catherine has been planning this for weeks. The menu, the seating chart, the timing of everything. I can't just add people at the last minute. You keep saying people like I'm a stranger off the street. You know what I mean? I really don't." She sighed. The kind of sigh you give when you're dealing with someone who just won't understand, no matter how you explain it. "Mom, I'm trying to build a life here. A good life. Brandon's family has connections. His father knows everyone in Portland's business community. Getting established with them, being accepted by them, it matters. For Brandon's career, for our future. And part of that means fitting in, following their traditions, being the kind of people they expect us to be. And I'm not the kind of person they expect?" She didn't answer, but her silence was answer enough. "I see," I said quietly. "So this is about me embarrassing you. About me not being Whitmore enough, not wealthy enough, not sophisticated enough. That's not what I'm saying. It's exactly what you're saying. You're ashamed of me. Ashamed of where you came from. Ashamed of our little house and our modest life and our homemade pies. Stop it. Why? Because the truth is uncomfortable? Because it's easier to pretend you sprang fully formed into the Whitmore family without any history before that? I am not ashamed of you. Then let me in. I can't, won't. Can't and won't are the same thing right now. I looked at my daughter, this woman I'd raised, this person I'd loved more than anything in the world, and I didn't recognize her. Do you remember, I said softly, when you were 10 and we couldn't afford to go on the class trip to the coast? All your friends were going, but I just didn't have the money. You came home crying because you were going to be the only one not there. Do you remember what you said to me? She didn't answer. You said, "It's okay, Mom. We'll have our own adventure. Just you and me." And we did. We drove to Multnomah Falls and had a picnic, and you said it was better than the coast anyway, because you got me all to yourself. Do you remember that? That was a long time ago. 17 years. Not that long. You were a child who understood that love mattered more than money. When did you forget that? I didn't forget anything. I just grew up. No, Emily. You grew away. There's a difference. She wrapped her arms around herself. The November air was getting colder. Or maybe she was just cold. I can't do this right now, she said. Brandon's family's waiting. Dinner is getting cold. I need you to go. Fine, I said. My voice was steady now. Calm. The kind of calm that comes after breaking. I'll go. But Emily, when you decide that I matter again, don't expect me to just be waiting around. You don't get to throw away 25 years of Thanksgivings and then act like nothing happened when it's convenient for you. You're being dramatic. No, sweetheart. I'm being honest. Something you apparently forgot how to be. I held out the pie carrier. Here, your favorite. Made with love. Made with the recipe your grandmother taught me before she died. Made by the woman you just told wasn't welcome in your home. She took it automatically, her hands closing around the plastic handle. Happy Thanksgiving, Emily. I hope it's everything the Whitmores expect it to be. I hope you enjoy your place cards and your formal table settings and your perfect, immediate family Thanksgiving. I turned and walked down the porch steps. Mom. I didn't turn around. Mom, wait. I kept walking, down the stone path, toward my car, vision blurring with tears I refused to let fall where she could see them. Behind me, I heard the door close. Not slam, just close, quietly, finally. I was halfway to my car when I heard it. A crash, loud, splintering, the sound of wood breaking, then screaming. I spun around, my heart already racing before my brain could process what was happening. The screaming was coming from the side of Emily's house, from the backyard. Not casual shouting, not someone calling out. Real screaming, terrified, panicked. The kind of screaming that means something is very, very wrong. I ran back toward the house just as the front door flew open. Emily stood there. The pie I'd given her dropped at her feet. Pumpkin filling splattered across the hardwood entryway, spreading in an orange-brown puddle. Her face was white, completely drained of color. "Call 911!" she screamed to someone inside the house. "Someone call 911 right now." Then she saw me, and for a split second, our eyes met, and in that instant, everything that had just happened between us vanished. The argument, the hurt, the rejection, gone, replaced by pure, primal fear. "Mom," she said. Just that one word, but it was different from how she'd said it before. This wasn't resigned or annoyed. This was desperate. This was the way she'd said it when she was 7 years old and had nightmares when she needed me. Then she was running down the porch steps, around the side of the house toward the backyard, where the screaming continued. I followed. I didn't think about it, didn't hesitate, just followed. The backyard was beautiful, professionally landscaped with a stone patio, outdoor furniture, a pergola strung with cafe lights, a built-in grill that probably cost more than my car. Everything perfect and magazine-worthy, except for Brandon. Brandon was lying on the stone patio at an unnatural angle. His left leg bent wrong, completely wrong, the kind of wrong that makes your stomach turn. His face was gray, eyes unfocused, one hand pressed against his side. Above him, maybe 12 feet up, was a treehouse, or what was left of one. The railing had splintered away, hanging by a few nails, and part of the platform floor had cracked clean through, leaving a gaping hole. He'd fallen. Brandon had been up in that treehouse, and the structure had failed, and he'd fallen 12 feet onto stone pavers. Catherine was on her knees beside her son, screaming his name. Her elegant dress spread around her on the stones, her carefully styled hair coming undone. "Brandon! Brandon, can you hear me? Oh, God! Oh, God, someone help him!" Brandon's father was frozen, phone in his hand, staring at his son. His sister was crying in the corner of the patio, hands over her mouth, and Emily dropped to her knees beside her husband, reaching for him, but afraid to touch him, not knowing what to do. None of them knew what to do. But I did. 30 years of teaching elementary school means 30 years of first aid training, playground accidents, sports injuries. That time Tommy Martinez fell off the monkey bars and broke his wrist. That time Sarah Chen split her chin open on the edge of a desk. You learn to stay calm. You learn to take charge. You learn to act when everyone else is panicking. "Everyone step back," I said loudly, clearly, with authority. "Give him space to breathe." No one moved. They were all frozen, staring at Brandon in horror. "Now," I barked. They stepped back. I knelt beside Emily, ignoring the shock of cold stone against my knees. "Where's that 911 call?" "Brandon's dad is calling," Emily said, her voice shaking uncontrollably. "Good. Emily, take off your cardigan." "What?" "Your cardigan. Take it off. Now." She fumbled with the buttons, her hands shaking so badly she could barely manage them. Finally got it off and handed it to me. I rolled it up and gently, carefully placed it under Brandon's head, just enough to cushion him without moving his neck. "Brandon," I said, leaning close to his face. "Brandon, can you hear me?" His eyes rolled toward me, struggled to focus. "Hurts," he managed, the word barely a whisper. "I know, honey. I know it hurts. I need you to stay still, okay? Help is coming. Don't try to move. Can't feel." "That's shock. That's normal. Your body is protecting itself. I need you to focus on me, okay? Look at my face." His eyes found mine and held. "Good. You're doing great. What's your full name?" "Brandon. Brandon James Whitmore." "Good. What day is it?" "Thursday. Thanksgiving." "Perfect. You're oriented. That's good. Now I need you to stay awake for me, okay? Keep looking at me." I looked up at Brandon's father. "What did 911 say? How long?" "5 minutes. Maybe less. They're sending an ambulance." I nodded and turned my attention back to Brandon. His breathing was shallow but consistent, pulse fast but strong. But there was blood. His hand was pressed against his left side, and I could see dark red seeping between his fingers. "Brandon, I need you to move your hand for me." "No. Hurts." "I know, but I need to see. Just for a second." He moved his hand. There was a gash in his side, about 4 inches long, deep enough that I could see layers of tissue. He must have caught it on a nail or a splintered piece of wood on the way down. "Emily, I need towels. Clean kitchen towels. As many as you can carry. Fast." She ran. I could hear her footsteps pounding back into the house. I looked at the leg. Definitely broken. The way it was angled, probably a femoral fracture. That was bad. The femur is the strongest bone in the body. Breaking it means significant force, means potential for serious complications. "Catherine," I said, my voice calm and steady. "I need you to take a breath and focus. Can you do that?" She looked at me with wild eyes. "That's my son. That's my boy. I know. And we're going to take care of him. But I need you to stay calm. He needs to see you calm. Can you do that for him?" She nodded, taking a shuddering breath. "Good. Talk to him. Tell him you're here. Tell him he's going to be okay." She moved closer, taking Brandon's hand. "Sweetheart, Mom's here. You're going to be fine. Help is coming." Emily came running back with an armful of dish towels. Good quality ones. Probably expensive. I grabbed one, folded it into a thick pad, and pressed it firmly against the gash in Brandon's side. He gasped, his body tensing. "I'm sorry," I said. "I'm so sorry, but I have to stop this bleeding." "Emily," I said, not taking my eyes off Brandon. "Put your hands on this towel. Right here. Firm pressure. Don't let up. She did, her hands shaking but holding steady. You're doing great, I told her. Just keep that pressure. Don't let up no matter what. I checked his pupils, reactive. Checked his pulse again. Still fast, but not dangerously so. Checked the leg. I didn't touch it. Didn't try to straighten it. Moving a broken femur could cause catastrophic damage. In the distance, I heard sirens. Hear that, Brandon? That's for you. Help is almost here. You're doing amazing. Stay with me. Hurts. I know, but you're tough. You're going to be okay. The sirens got louder. Closer. Someone needs to go to the front and flag them down, I said. Show them where to come. Brandon's father went, moving like a man in a dream. I stayed with Brandon, monitoring his breathing, his pulse, his level of consciousness, talking to him, keeping him engaged, keeping him awake. Tell me about the treehouse, I said. When did you build it? Last month. Was going to surprise the family. That was a nice idea. What happened? Went up to check the lights, stepped on the board and gave way. Okay, you're okay now. We've got you. Paramedics came around the side of the house with a stretcher and equipment. 2 of them moving fast but not running. Professional. Calm. What do we have? The first one asked, kneeling beside Brandon. Male. Approximately 30 years old. Fell from approximately 12 feet onto stone pavers. Obvious femoral fracture. Left leg. Laceration to left flank. Approximately 4 inches. Moderate bleeding controlled with direct pressure. Patient is conscious, oriented, responsive, complaining of pain and numbness in the injured leg. No visible head trauma but possible internal injuries. He's been down approximately 5 minutes. The paramedic looked at me with new respect. Medical background? Retired teacher. First aid certified. You did good. Really good. They went to work. Cut away Brandon's clothes. Started an IV. Stabilized the leg with an inflatable splint. Put a cervical collar on him just in case. Wrapped the laceration with proper bandaging. We're going to give you something for the pain, Brandon, one of them said. You're going to feel a lot better in just a minute. They administered something through the IV. Brandon's face relaxed almost immediately. That's better. He mumbled. We're going to take you to the hospital now, okay? Your family can follow in a car. They loaded him onto the stretcher, moving with practiced efficiency. Catherine climbed into the ambulance with her son, still holding his hand. Brandon's father and sister headed to their car to follow, and Emily stood in her backyard, her burgundy dress covered in her husband's blood, shaking from head to toe. I walked over to her. She turned to me, and her face crumpled completely. Mom, she sobbed, and then she was in my arms, crying like she was 10 years old again, and the world was too big and too scary. I held her, just held her tight, didn't say anything, didn't point out the irony, didn't remind her that 5 minutes ago she'd told me I wasn't welcome, just held my daughter while she fell apart. I'm sorry, she kept saying. I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry. Shh, it's okay, it's okay. Is he going to be okay? Mom, is he going to be okay? I think so. The paramedics have him. They'll take good care of him. His leg looked so wrong, the way it was bent, and all that blood. There was so much blood. Head wounds and leg wounds always bleed a lot. It looks worse than it is. How do you know what to do? You just took charge. Everyone else was freaking out and you just knew what to do. That's what 30 years of teaching does. You learn to handle emergencies. She pulled back, looking at me with red, swollen eyes. I told you that you weren't welcome. I said horrible things, and then you came back anyway. You helped him. You saved him. He's your husband. Of course I helped him. But after what I said, Emily, you're my daughter. You could tell me I'm not welcome 1,000 times, and I'd still show up when you need me. That's what mothers do. She started crying again, harder this time. We need to get you cleaned up and get you to the hospital, I said gently. Come on. I led her back into the house. The Thanksgiving dinner the Whitmores had been so carefully planning sat untouched on the dining room table. Place cards with elegant calligraphy, expensive china, crystal glasses, everything perfect and beautiful and completely abandoned. I found her bathroom and helped her wash the blood off her hands, found a clean dress in her closet, and helped her change. She was moving like a sleepwalker, in shock, not really processing what had happened. "I don't have my purse," she said vaguely, "or my phone, or my keys. I'll drive you. Don't worry about anything else." "Okay." I kept a spare blanket in my car for emergencies. I wrapped it around her shoulder, led her to my Honda Civic, helped her into the passenger seat. She stared straight ahead, not really seeing anything. I drove to Oregon Health and Science University Hospital, where the ambulance had taken Brandon. Emily didn't speak the entire drive, just sat there with that blanket wrapped around her, shaking. At the hospital, we found Catherine in the surgical waiting room. She looked up when we walked in, and I saw her face do something complicated when she saw me. Surprise, confusion, and then something that might have been gratitude. "They took him straight to surgery," she said, her voice hollow. "Compound fracture. The bone broke through the skin, and they think there might be internal bleeding from the fall. They're operating now. They said it could be 4 hours, maybe more." Emily sank into one of those uncomfortable waiting room chairs, still wrapped in my blanket. I sat beside her. Catherine sat across from us. For a long moment, nobody spoke. Then Catherine looked directly at me. "You saved his life. The paramedics saved his life. I just kept him stable until they arrived." "No. Everyone else was panicking, screaming, frozen. You knew exactly what to do. You took charge. Her voice broke. "You saved my son's life." "I did what anyone with first aid training would do." "But you were the one who did it. Even after?" She glanced at Emily. "Even after everything. You stayed. You helped. Thank you so much." I nodded, not trusting my voice. We settled in to wait. Hospital waiting rooms are special kinds of purgatory. Uncomfortable chairs, bad lighting, old magazines, the smell of antiseptic and anxiety. Time moves differently there. Minutes feel like hours. Emily fell asleep around hour 2, her head on my shoulder, still wearing that blanket. I didn't move, didn't shift, just let her sleep while I stared at the television on the wall. Some cooking show, with the sound turned down. Catherine brought coffee around hour 3. Terrible hospital coffee that tasted like it had been made yesterday and reheated. She handed me a cup and sat down. "I owe you an apology," she said quietly. "You don't owe me anything." "I do. I've been taking your daughter away from you. Maybe not intentionally, but that's what I did. And I didn't even realize it until today." I took a sip of the terrible coffee and didn't respond. "Brandon is my only son," she continued. "My baby. And when he got married, I wanted to be close to them, to feel included, to feel like I still mattered in his life. But I didn't think about what that meant for you, how it was affecting your relationship with Emily. It meant I lost my daughter," I said quietly. "Every time you included her in something, every time you helped them with something, every time you made plans with them, I disappeared a little more. Until today, when she told me I wasn't welcome at Thanksgiving." Catherine's eyes filled with tears. "I'm so sorry. I truly am. I never wanted to hurt you. But you did. And worse, you taught Emily that it was okay to hurt me, that excluding me was acceptable, that I was less important than being accepted by your family. You're right. I did do that. And I'm going to make it right. I'm going to talk to Emily. I'm going to make sure she understands that she has 2 families now, not just one. Tell her that yourself, not me." She nodded. "I will. I promise." Around hour 4, a surgeon came out. Older woman with kind eyes and gray hair showing at the temples of her surgical cap. Blue scrubs, that particular kind of exhaustion that comes from intense concentration. "Family of Brandon Whitmore?" We all stood. Even Emily, jerking awake with my movement. "I'm Dr. Sarah Chen. I was Brandon's surgeon. He's out of surgery. And he's stable." The relief was physical. Catherine actually swayed on her feet. I put a hand on her arm to steady her. "The leg repair went well?" Dr. Chen continued. "It was a compound fracture of the femur. We had to put in a titanium rod and several pins to stabilize it. He'll have full mobility once it heals, but he's looking at several months of physical therapy." "And the internal bleeding?" Catherine asked. "His spleen was torn. We were able to repair it without removing it entirely, which is the best-case scenario. He'll need to be careful for a while. Take it easy. Let it heal. But he should be fine. Can we see him? Emily asked, her voice small. He's in recovery right now. Once he's moved to a room, yes, probably another hour or so. But I want you to know, he's going to be okay. He's young, healthy, strong. This was serious, but he's going to recover fully. Thank you, Catherine said, her voice breaking. Thank you so much. After Dr. Chen left, Emily turned to me. You stayed. Of course I stayed. For 4 hours. You've been here for 4 hours. After what I said to you. After I told you that you weren't welcome. Emily, I love you. That doesn't stop just because you hurt me. I don't deserve you. Probably not, I said with a small smile. But you're stuck with me anyway. She laughed, but it turned into a sob. I've been such an idiot. Such a complete idiot. Yes, you have. I wanted to fit in with Brandon's family so badly. I wanted them to accept me, to think I was good enough for him. And somewhere along the way, I forgot about my own family. I forgot about you. I know. And I'm so sorry for all of it. The wedding, the way I've been avoiding you, the things I said today, all of it. I pulled her close again. I know that too. Can you forgive me? I already have. I'm sitting in my kitchen right now, telling you this story. It's Thanksgiving again. 1 year later. But this Thanksgiving is very different from last year. Brandon recovered fully. The leg healed. The spleen healed. He went through months of physical therapy. Learned to walk without a cane. Got back to work. He still has a slight limp when it rains and probably always will. But otherwise, you'd never know. He fell 12 feet onto stone pavers. The treehouse came down. Brandon's father hired a company to remove it completely. Nobody wanted that reminder in the backyard. Emily and I rebuilt our relationship. Not overnight. Not easily. We had hard conversations. She had to face some uncomfortable truths about how she'd treated me, about the person she'd become. And I had to learn to set boundaries, to speak up when something hurt, instead of just accepting it. We do lunch every other week now. Sometimes at a restaurant, sometimes at my house, sometimes at hers. We talk on the phone twice a week. Real conversations that last more than 5 minutes. She comes to my house for dinner sometimes. Just the two of us. And we cook together like we used to. Last month, she showed up at my door with a small velvet box. What's this? I asked. Open it. Inside were my mother's pearls. The ones I'd tried to give her for the wedding. The ones she'd rejected in favor of Catherine's diamonds. I want them now, she said. If the offer's still good. Of course it is. I'm sorry I didn't wear them at the wedding. I'm sorry I didn't appreciate what they meant. I know. Can you put them on me? I did. Fastened the clasp around her neck. The pearls looked beautiful against her skin. I'm going to wear these all the time, she said. To remember where I came from. To remember what matters. And she has. I see them in photos she posts online. See them when we meet for lunch. She wears my mother's pearls the way they were meant to be worn. With love, with pride. Catherine and I have found a balance. She's still very involved in Emily and Brandon's life, but she makes space for me now. Includes me. We actually had coffee together last week. Just the two of us. And talked about our kids and our lives and our hopes for their future. I think they want to start trying for a baby soon, Catherine said. Emily mentioned that to me too. We'll be grandmothers together. Looks like it. We should probably figure out how to share. Probably, I agreed. And today, this Thanksgiving, we're all together. Emily and Brandon are hosting again, but this time it's different. This time I was invited from the start. This time there's no question about whether I'm immediate family. The table is set for 8. Emily and Brandon, Catherine and her husband, Brandon's sister, me, and 2 chairs that will stay empty, one for Tom and one for Catherine's mother, who passed away last year. Emily's idea. Because they're still part of our family, she said. They're still at our table. I'm bringing the pumpkin pie, the one with maple syrup in the filling. Emily specifically asked for it. It's not Thanksgiving without your pie, Mom, she said. This morning, Emily called me. Hey, Mom. Hey, sweetheart. I'm nervous about today. About the dinner. I want everything to be perfect. It will be. You've been planning for weeks. I keep thinking about last year. About what happened. about what I said to you. Emily, that's in the past. We've moved on. I know. But I want you to know something. I want you to know that you're the most important person at that table today. More important than the Whitmores. More important than Brandon. More important than anyone. Because you're the one who showed up when it mattered. You're the one who stayed. You're the one who saved us. You don't have to. Yes, I do. I do have to say it. Because I never said it enough before. I love you, Mom. And I'm so grateful you're my mother. Even when I didn't act like it. Even when I pushed you away. Even when I told you that you weren't welcome. You never gave up on me. I'm your mother. That's what we do. Not all mothers. Some mothers would have walked away after what I said. Some mothers would have said, "You made your choice. Live with it." But you didn't. You came back. You saved Brandon's life. You saved mine too, in a different way. I love you, Emily. Always. No matter what. I love you too. I'll see you in a few hours. See you soon. So that's my story. That's what happened the Thanksgiving my daughter told me I wasn't welcome. That's how 4 words and a terrible accident changed everything. If you're still here, still listening, thank you. Thank you for hearing an old woman talk about the hardest day of her life and what came after. I learned something important that day. I learned that sometimes the people we love most will hurt us the deepest. But I also learned that showing up, even when we're not wanted, can make all the difference. I showed up with a pie and got told I wasn't welcome. Minutes later, I was the one kneeling on cold stone pavers, keeping my son-in-law alive until help arrived. That's not karma. That's not fate. That's just what happens when you refuse to walk away from the people you love, even when they're pushing you away with both hands. If you're going through something similar, if you've been excluded or forgotten, or told you don't matter, I want you to know you do matter. Your love matters. Your presence matters. Don't give up on the people you love. But also, don't forget to protect yourself, set boundaries, stand up for your worth. Both things can be true at the same time. This Thanksgiving, I'm grateful for a lot of things. I'm grateful Brandon recovered. I'm grateful Emily and I found our way back to each other. I'm grateful Catherine learned to share. But most of all, I'm grateful I had the courage to show up that day, even when I wasn't wanted. Because showing up changed everything. If this story meant something to you, I'd love to hear about it in the comments. Have you ever been excluded by family? Have you ever had to fight to be seen? Have you ever shown up when you weren't wanted and had it change everything? Tell me your story. I'd love to hear it. And if you found value in this story, consider subscribing. There are more stories to tell, more truths to share, and I'd love to have you here for them. Thank you for listening. Happy Thanksgiving. No matter who's at your table this year, remember, you deserve to be there. You are welcome, you matter, and you are loved.